by Richard E. Bright when he was just in second class. And that probably would have been the end of collection of the butterflies by Richard E. Bright, because he had almost collected 25 butterflies around his hometown, from his hometown. Now this was just the end, but his mother brought him a book called The Travels of Monarch 10. You can underline. That book, which told how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America, opened the world of science to the eager young collector. He was very young, a second grade student, though he had collected all the butterflies around his hometown, but now his eagerness grew when his mother brought him a book of butterflies he was already interested in, and when he read that book, he developed more interest in the subject. Now next, what he did, as soon as he grew older, what he did is, at the end of the book, the readers were invited to help study butterfly migrations. So as you can see that this book is about how the butterflies moved to Central America, migrated to Central America. So this is all about migration of the butterflies. Why do they migrate? How do they migrate? When do they migrate? What is the reason behind their migration? So at the end of this book, readers were invited what to do? To help study butterfly migration. So the study of butterfly migration was still going on, and Richard E. Bright decided to participate as a reader. They were asked to tag butterflies for research by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart of the University of Toronto, Canada. E. Bright's mother wrote to Dr. Urquhart, and soon E. Bright was attaching light adhesive tags to the wings of monarchs. As you can see here a picture, you can see the two kinds of butterflies here. This is a monarch. So we are talking about this butterfly right now. So at the end of the book, readers were invited to help the migration of the butterflies. What do the scientists do? They discover new things every second, every minute, every day. Their job is to find new things which is beyond our knowledge. They read so much, they learn so much, they research throughout the night, then they come out with a certain result and conclusion what is their job is. And still there are many scientists in this whole world that they are finding new things we aren't aware of. They are doing their job. So how do they become scientists? The first ingredient to become a scientist is that curiosity, develop curiosity in you. To ask yourself why it is like this. To see around yourself, and find new things around you and get the answer that why it is like this. What is the reason behind this? Research, ask, consult your elders, go through Google, books, libraries, find out the answer to all your questions, and this is the first ingredient to become a scientist, which Richard E. Bright had developed since he was a small child. Now, his mother, Richard E. Bright's mother, wrote to Dr. Urquhart, who was already there researching at the University of Toronto, Canada, that Richard E. Bright would be collecting butterflies. He would put adhesive tags. Adhesive tags means the tags which will stick to the wings of a butterfly, a small tag. Anyone who would find a tagged butterfly was asked to send the tag to Urquhart. So, Richard E. Bright lived in Reading Town in Pennsylvania. It is quite away from Toronto. So it was not so easy for him to send the collection of butterflies or to Dr. Urquhart directly. So what they did is they put a tag, small tag in one of the wings of the butterfly and wrote that whosoever find this butterfly, please send it to Dr. Urquhart at the University of Toronto. So he started doing this every now and then. Whenever he would find different species of butterfly, he would put a tag, stick the tag, adhesive tag, write it down that whosoever find it is forwarded to Dr. Urquhart, and he kept on doing this for months and months. Now the butterfly collecting season around reading lasts 6 weeks in late summer. If you are going to chase them one by one, you won't catch very many. So the next step for E. Bright was to raise a flock of butterflies. So this migration season, this collecting season of the butterflies soon ended after 6 weeks of collecting the butterflies and sending it to Dr. Urquhart. Now, Richard E. Bright thought that now butterflies, he couldn't see more butterflies around him. He decided what to do. He decided to raise a flock of butterflies himself. As he was already with the different kind of species of butterflies, he started raising the butterflies. What he did is, he catch a female monarch, he took their eggs and raised them in his basement of his house, and then through their life cycle, you can see the butterfly's life cycle from egg to caterpillar, caterpillar to pupa, pupa to adult butterfly. So he managed to set the place for this raising of the flock of the butterflies at his own place in the basement of his house. He watched the whole life cycle of the butterflies. He raised the butterflies, and when this butterfly would become an adult butterfly, he would again put adhesive tags and send it to Dr. Urquhart in the name of the Urquhart. For several years, his basement was home to thousands of monarchs in different stages of development. You can see a table in the book here where it is written number and kinds of butterflies collected in 6 weeks. So he has collected these butterflies, and how many numbers it's written. Like brush-footed butterflies he has collected 10, monarch 1, gossamer winged he has collected 8. So he has collected these several species of butterflies, these different kinds of butterflies, just to send and help Dr. Urquhart for the research and finding up of the migration of the butterflies and why do they migrate. Eventually, I began to lose interest in tagging butterflies because he had been doing it for months and months, and now he was kind of really bored. He was tired of sending because it has become very boring and there was not much answer coming from the other side. Like there was no feedback from the other side. In all the time I did it, only 2 butterflies I had tagged were recaptured, and they were not more than 75 miles from where I lived. He had sent hundreds of butterflies in the name of Dr. Urquhart, but he found that there was no feedback from him, no feedback from the university or from anyone. With these, out of these 100 butterflies, only two butterflies were recaptured, and that too only 75 miles away from his place, not very far. So he started losing his interest in tagging the butterflies. Now when he reached his 7th class, when he reached 7th grade, this doesn't mean that when he lost interest in tagging butterflies, he has lost interest in studying of the butterflies migration, studying about the butterflies. He kept on studying about it all by himself, researching himself, studying from different sources of books. He kept on learning and learning every day, every second. Then in the 7th grade, he got a hint of what real science is when he entered a county science fair. So when he reached 7th grade, there was a science fair organized in the school level. And you also know that science fair, like every year you have different competitions that are being held in the school level. Students are selected from among you, and then you represent your own school. So this was what happened in the life of Richard E. Bright when he was in 7th grade. His entry was slides of frog tissues which he showed under a microscope. But he felt very sad sitting there when this was the first participation that he had ever done in his life, and he was really sad. Why? When he reached there, he saw that the people there, the students there, the other students there had done real experiments for the competition, for the science fair. And he had done a simple, neat and clean representation of frog tissue under a microscope, that's it. He realized that this science fair is not about the clean and neat and clean representation of something very simple that you have shown, butterfly tissue, a frog tissue, but these science fair, these experiments, these competitions are all about real experiments, real work to show. Like we also force you to prepare a working model. So these are the real life experiments that Richard E. Bright got to know from the science fair, that like this he won't be able to give his best just by showing the neat and clean representation of the things that he did, like a frog tissue, showing a frog tissue, but he realized that he need to do something very real, something very interesting. Now again, in this 8th grade, what he did, let's see. He wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, and back came a stack of suggestions for experiments. Those kept E. Bright busy all through high school and led to prize projects in county and international science fair. After that neat display in the science fair, he realized now he has to work hard a little more. He kept on writing by suggesting different ideas to Dr. Urquhart. He kept on writing letters to Dr. Urquhart, the University of Toronto, and he even got replies. He even got the suggestions started getting suggestions from the other side. And with this, he kept himself busy throughout the day with experimenting, with researching, with finding, learning, going through the different kind of books and every source of the butterflies that he could go through and collect information from. He kept on writing to Dr. Urquhart, he kept on getting suggestions from him, and his learning continued by his own and under the guidance with the help of his own mother. For 8th grade, what he did to participate in the county fair, with this time he decided to find the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. This time he thought that the subject that he is quite interested is in butterflies only. So this time he thought that he would be participating in science fair, county science fair, with his own subject that he had studied since he was a child. The topic of this project was that to find the cause of a viral disease that kills all monarch caterpillars every few years. Now, E. Bright started researching for this. He thought that the cause of the death of the butterflies, monarch butterflies, is beetle. Beetle is an insect, and he tried to raise caterpillars in the presence of beetles. He started experimenting. What he did is he raised caterpillars and he also put the beetles there, and just to find out whether these beetles kill caterpillars. But as a a result, after a few days, a few weeks, it was found that it is no such cause. That beetles doesn't really kill the caterpillars. So what is the real reason behind? I didn't get any real results, he said. But I went ahead and showed that I had tried the experiment and this time I won. Though he didn't get the real results, but he showed this experiment in the science fair that he participated when he was in 8th grade, and this time he won the competition. This time he won something at the science fair just because he showed something real in the science fair this time. Until previously, in the previous science fair when he was in 7th grade, he just showed a neat display of the frog tissue. There was nothing so experimenting, nothing very real, and nothing very interesting. But this time he had done something very different, which everybody around didn't know about. He did something real, experimented, though the correct results were not found. But the elders really liked it and he got a prize for that subject. The next year, his science fair project was testing the theory that viceroy butterflies copy monarch. See, there are two species of butterflies, two kinds of butterflies. One is viceroy and one is monarch. As you can see the picture here in this page, the first one, it's a monarch butterfly. Second is viceroy butterfly. You must have seen that orangish and blackish color combination of the butterflies. So they are monarch and viceroy. So the next year, after getting a prize in science fair, when he was in 8th grade, the next year he again participated, and this time the topic was viceroy butterflies copy monarch. Do they really copy monarch? What they exactly do? What is the reason behind? Why do they copy? Is it really true? So he started his project work, he started experimenting, he started learning, he started researching, he started finding out on the topic, and what the result was. Let's see. The theory was that viceroy look like monarchs. Yes, they are similar. They are exactly similar, but there is a slight difference, as you can see in the picture. And it was said that viceroy butterflies copy monarch. Why? Viceroy look like monarch because monarch don't taste good to birds. But viceroy butterflies, they taste good to birds. So in order to save their own life, the viceroy butterflies, in order to save their life, what they do is they copy monarch because monarchs do not taste good to birds. So in order to save their own life, they copy monarch. Say they copy monarch, they become similar to monarch, and they save themselves from the birds. The less likely they are to become a bird's dinner. The more they become like monarch, the more they save their life from the bird. Ebright's project was to see whether in fact birds would eat monarch. Birds really eat monarch. If the viceroy butterflies copy monarch, would they really eat monarch? He found that a starling is a kind of a bird. Starling is a bird. The starling would not eat ordinary bird food. It would eat all the monarchs it would get. Ebright said later research by other people showed that viceroys probably do copy the monarch. This project was placed first in the zoology division and the third overall in the county science fair. Now this time he came up with another idea. He came up with another topic of the subject. This time from the zoology department, his project was on the topmost and third in the county science fair. This shows the determination of Richard Ebright. This shows that since the beginning, at the first participation, he couldn't win anything. He realized his mistake, what he did. learn something. Then third year he participated, fourth year he participated. His project was became known to everyone. It became famous, and he even came first from the zoology department. He came third in the county science fair. He kept on participating every year and started getting prizes every year. Third, first, second. Now, in the second year in high school, Richard E. Bright began the research that led to his discovery of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it also led to his new theory on the life of cells. Now, he further studied more, he continued his research work, and this time he started experimenting on the life of cells, the new theory on the life of cells. The question he tried to answer was simple. What is the purpose of the 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? So this time his topic was there are spots on monarch pupa. What is these spots are for? There are some reasons behind it. What is the reason?